Botanic Garden has a fantastic history of science with Darwin and Henslow. When Darwin came to study in Cambridge, he was a pupil of John Henslow, and when Henslow was asked to go on a voyage of exploration in the Beagle, he said he was getting too old, so he then suggested to his brightest pupil, who was Darwin, why don't you go and collect all the species and send them back to me. And that collection is, well, it's part of the herbarium collection that we have in this building.
When we were interviewed, John asked us the question, what impact is this going to have on the garden? And we weren't entirely sure how to respond to this, because obviously it was it's a big issue introducing a major building of this kind in such a sensitive location. But actually he was looking for a building which did have an impact, but a positive impact on the garden, and was very much about underlining the scientific remit of the work that was going on here.
The part that we built on is not the landscape part of the garden, it's the what was the back room. It's part of the garden where there were all the tractors and composting and chipping and all that kind of thing. So we had to reorganize that as a kind of master plan in order to create the site for this building. The entrance to the site was always going to be on the north side, facing towards the city of Cambridge. The space was more, although it's generous, was more compressed and more formal, and we responded with more formal architecture and a very simple entrance. And then as the building, as you move through the building towards the garden on the other side, on the south side, the space is all open and the wonderful trees and the landscape and so on. The building literally unfurls, it unfolds, and the elements, the architectural elements that we have on that north side, all are then interpreted differently to open up to the spaces and the light of the garden. Of course, it's a research institute, it's a university research institute, but on the public side towards the garden, it serves as the tea room, the cafe for the garden, which has become immensely popular, and there's a fantastic terrace overlooking the garden. It's just a beautiful spot to come and have a cup of tea in Cambridge.
Has it brought more people in?
It has brought a lot more people in, yes. It's brought a lot more people to the cafe and to the garden as a whole. It's been very successful, and it does engage them and make visual the scientific work that's going on here in a way that didn't happen before, and that was one of the objectives.
When we started out, it was a brief that was literally on 2 or 3 pages of A4. They wanted a world-class building, a building that would attract scientists from all around the world, a building that was going to be simply the best place to be doing fundamental, pure plant science. Quite a challenge, and we spent at least 6 months to a year with them developing the brief. Trying out different options of forms, arrangements of spaces, and so on and so forth. So it was an iterative process, but very much a collaborative process with the scientists, with the client, and with specialist technical advisors. One of the key requirements is that many laboratories are on multiple floors. We organised the building and the site sufficiently so that we could get all the working space on one floor. So it's a horizontal connection between all the different scientists and different teams that are working there. It also enabled us to have roof lights everywhere, so we were able to bring in zenithal light, which is the most powerful light, into those spaces. So during the daytime you just don't need lights turned on. And we spent a lot of effort working with Arab Lighting on getting the quality and the performance of that light to be good enough for a laboratory. The building has a BREEAM Excellent award, which is pretty good going for a laboratory. Laboratories generally use about 10 times as much energy as an office building, so that's pretty good going. The roof has photovoltaic cells. We're reusing energy, heat recuperation inside the building and so on. It's a very sealed, very airtight building, so nothing is really lost from it. And it's also a very well thermally insulated building too. I think this has been a really special project for us because of the patronage of the client. It's the Gatsby Foundation, which is David Sainsbury, and he had the vision to want to have this building for science, which he's been investing in for the last 30 years. And so for us to have a client that was completely committed to us, let us get on with it, gave us a fantastic team to work with in terms of the actual day-to-day client body, and then allowed us to design literally everything, even the furniture. Now that is very special and very unusual for an architect to have that much control over a building.